This case, as you've heard, may never have gotten to this point had it not been for those protests and pleas from Elijah's mother, Sheneen McClain. She spoke about her son's death during rallies for George Floyd, and I vividly remember her plea to George Floyd protesters at the state capitol in June 2020 about not being there for her son, but thankful that they were there now. 9 News anchor Alex Lewis spoke with Sheneen after the verdict. And Alex, this split verdict is not what she was seeking.
No, it really wasn't. I mean, the second we knew there was a verdict, they opened up the courtroom doors, we all piled in. I don't know that I've ever felt that much tension and anticipation in my life. It was incredibly emotional for everybody, but none more than Sheneen, who was sobbing after these verdicts were read, and they were not happy tears. You know, she has been at this trial almost nearly every single day of the 3 weeks, and she spent the last 2 days while the jury has been deliberating, sitting on a bench, sometimes pacing, just waiting patiently for this verdict. And when I spoke to her, even earlier today, she thought it was a slam dunk. She thought the prosecution did an incredible job trying this case, and she really thought that both of these officers would be found guilty of the charges that they were facing. So for Rosenblatt to completely be convicted of the charges today, and then for Randy Rodema to be charged with lesser charges than were initially on the table, she views this split verdict as anything but victory. Is this justice?
No, it's not. It's not justice. This is not justice. This is a misuse of taxpayer money.
Even with Rodema getting 2 guilty charges, not enough?
No, it's not enough, because Rodema wasn't alone in what he did to my son. He had accomplices. He had buddies with badges that are all bullies. So it's not a victory for me. This is not a victory for me at all. This is not a victory for the human race. This is not a victory for justice.
When you look at the range of sentencing that Rodema is facing, it is probation to 6 years. And for him to be charged with 6 years, I mean, they have to look at extreme circumstances. He is eligible for probation. He doesn't have a record. He's a police officer. So he very well could not see a day of jail time. We don't know that, but that is a possibility that Sheneen is very well aware of. There was a really poignant moment, I think, in closing arguments 2 days ago, where the prosecution put up a screen, and it was 10 police officers, like blank faces. It was 4, 2 of the paramedics, 2 of the EMTs, and it was the 14 representing 14 people who were on the scene that day, August in 2019. And Sheneen has always been very vocal about saying every single person who was on that scene when her son was laying on the ground, essentially dying, going into cardiac arrest, that they all should have been charged. So she was not happy today, and she is very well aware that this is just kind of the beginning, trial 1 of 3. The second will start tomorrow, essentially, and there's a long road ahead. Marshall.
Yeah, she has to digest this, and in less than, 12 hours now, or I guess like 16 hours, she's back in court for the jury selection for this next trial. Did you get a chance to talk with her about what she thinks this might mean for those other cases?
She is not as hopeful, honestly, even after the split verdict, 1 conviction, 1 not. You know, she doesn't know what's coming when you look at the paramedics, and there was some strong evidence against the paramedics even in this trial. Next, we start with Nathan Woodyard with jury selection tomorrow as they'll fill out the questionnaire. She really isn't as hopeful going into this second trial as she was when I spoke to her going into the first.
Alex, thanks for being out there and speak with her right after this trial, and we know we're going to hear from her as these next 2 take place. Thanks a lot.